Welcome to Zcast here on Sports Primo and Suave Radio. Amado Abeta, Aaron Abeta, and Joe Abeta with you. And again, we are in the confines of our homes right now, enjoying the quarantine, enjoying the social separation, if you will. But we have a very special guest. And first off, gentlemen, how's it going today? Baron, how are you today?
I'm doing excellent. Pretty good for a quarantine.
Yes.
And Joe, how's the quarantine and the Millennium Falcon treating you?
It's pretty good, actually. Everything's really good. So good stuff.
Well, you're in the right place for sure. It's a very clean place, the Falcon.
That's right.
And we're with a very special guest today, actually. One of the greatest high school basketball careers that we've known, and one of the greatest careers here in the city of Santa Fe, from St. Michael's High School, high school star, and just an amazing talent here in this town. 5-time varsity player from St. Mike's, Jordan Romero. Jordan, how are you, man?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's really great to have you. And you were a subject in one of our conversations last week. We had a little, just for fun, we did a player bracket from 2006 to 2019, and you were actually the winner.
Yeah, man, I listened to the broadcast and really couldn't believe that amongst all those players, I got picked by you guys. So I appreciate that, and I was very humbled by that. Thank you.
Yes.
So Jordan, you heard we were talking about your career, and going into St. Mike's, was basketball your sole focus, or were you looking at doing other sports when you were going in? Did you go there as a 7th grader, or?
So I started in 7th grade, and I played football, basketball, and baseball.
Okay.
Played it through junior high, all three, and then once I started, getting that playing time in 8th grade in basketball, I kind of shied away from football and wanted to, really focus on basketball. But I continued to play baseball as well. I had to try a lot harder to be a good baseball player. Basketball kind of came more natural to me, but that was my main focus, and I knew that I could do some things in that. And I had good coaches that pushed me and guided me the right way.
How was it that you were so comfortable right away? You were on varsity from 8th grade on, and you just seemed like you were so comfortable as a freshman and being a key part of the team. How was it that you were just so mature about it right away?
I think it started when I was younger. I was always in the gym, watching games, watching my dad play. My dad coached. And I'm a very laid back and calm person, and nothing really tends to get me upset or anger me. And I kind of translated that to the court and just, let things come to me, and, didn't put any pressure on myself.
Because we were talking about it on the podcast. Is your 8th grade year when you were going back and forth with Ryan Gonzalez in that overtime game? Was that your 8th grade year? For the Capital City tournament?
I had so many battles with Ryan. It's hard to remember, but to talk about Ryan, he is one of the best shooters ever in college and high school that I've ever seen. So,
yeah, it just, as an 8th grader, I remember you making some pretty big shots, pretty big 3-pointers with not a lot of time left on the clock. How did you gain that? I know you had confidence, but how did you get that? The confidence from your teammates, to feel like, hey, let's give it to Jordan. We know that he can do this. How long did that take for them to feel confident in you to make those big plays?
I mean, I think it started early on where, they were kind of wondering, why is this 8th grader on the team? Mm-hmm. And then you just earn it by making plays in practice and showing them that, they can trust you. And, every kid growing up counts down 3, 2, 1, mm-hmm. Shoot at the buzzer. You want to, have the ball in your hands and take that shot. And, just practicing in the backyard, counting down. I think, obviously it's a bigger stage when you're out there on the court in front of a bunch of people, but, mm-hmm. It wasn't the first time I took those shots, and hopefully I'll still take some of those in my old man City League games.
Hi folks, Morley Fletcher here from Santa Fe Kia. As a COVID-19 update, our service and parts department are open Monday through Friday from 8 to 5 and Saturday from 8 to noon for all your service and repair needs, not only on Kias, but all makes and models. We are also offering complimentary pickup and delivery of vehicles needing service within a 40-mile radius. Santa Fe Kia's virtual showroom is open at santafekia.com for online research, availability, online purchases, and delivery of new or pre-owned vehicles. Agents are standing by via email, text, or phone to help you virtually. Santa Fe Kia, where we treat you different.
What's Kasasa? It's a catchy word for earning cash that just might make you want to dance. Get paid for doing simple things you do anyway. That's free Kasasa checking. Get Kasasa at State Employees Credit Union.
My daughter and I love spending time together. We visit the doctor once a year for checkups, and if she does get sick, we're there more often. Dr. King is a great doctor. He likes to joke with her and make her feel comfortable if she's nervous about the visit.
It's really wonderful to see children grow and flourish. General pediatric care is ideal for kids to put them on that track to succeed in school and to succeed later on in life.
I think Abigail's had a great health journey thanks to Southwest Care.
So, 2006, you guys win the state championship against Grants. It was pretty easy, I guess. I don't want to take championships for granted, but you guys were just head and shoulders so much better than the competition that year. But the next year, 2007, you're in the state championship game against Hope Christian, and Hope Christian is like they're definitely the favorite. They're the monster in that had moved up to your classification. Going into that game, what do you remember about the preparation in that game? And if you could describe the emotion going into that game, what was the feeling of the team? What was Coach Geyer kind of telling you guys? Just describe the preparation before that game.
I mean, we were excited. Obviously, getting to play in a state championship is always something to be excited for. They had already beat us that year in a close game at St. Mike's, so we knew we could play with them. And then Coach Geyer, we never doubted him. He's one of the greatest coaches to come out of state of New Mexico, and actually, national finalist coach of the year. So we knew he had a good game plan. The one thing that sticks out though is Eric Geyer being, severely injured on his ankle, and the preparation that our training staff took with him. He was up at 4, 5, 6 in the morning in an ice bath just so he was able to play. And that's something I think a lot of people don't know, is how hard he, prepped to actually get to play that game, and he ended up being a key factor for us. But we knew the pressure was on them. We knew that they were the team to beat in the whole state. They had already beat a 5A Rio Rancho team that was in the championship, and they had to come to us, and we were ready. They hit us with the first few punches in the first half, but we just kept in it, and the outcome, it came out our way, and it was probably the best game I've ever been a part of.
When did you get that feeling during that game that you got under their skin, you got in their head, and they knew you weren't going to back down? Now, at what point in the game did you guys have that feeling? During a timeout, when Coach Murphy called a timeout for the first time, and you guys felt like, we smell blood now, we're going to go for it?
I think for us, a turning point was, they scored a couple baskets. Coach Geyer calls a timeout. Mm-hmm. We come out and, I get a quick steal and assist, another steal, assist. Mm-hmm. And then we get a defensive stop, and it's like 3 assists in a row. Mm-hmm. And, they call a timeout, and, they're reeling. But, again, it's just little things like that. A 3 by Marcus Martinez, a rebound by Eric, and a putback. Mm-hmm. Getting them into foul trouble. Robbie Castillo makes an and 1 in the third quarter. That's a huge play. Mm-hmm. And then I end the third with the 3 at the buzzer. I think that was kind of the moment where it turned, and we had all the momentum, and they were on their heels.
Go ahead, Malo.
Was there ever a time in your high school career playing basketball, because you've always looked so calm and collected, was there ever a time that you had a big moment in the game where you felt pressure to make free throws or to make a shot at the end? Was there ever a moment like that for you where you did feel some pressure, some nerves throughout your career?
Yeah, so that year against walk at that district championship game. You know, I get fouled and trying to seal the deal, and I miss 2 free throws. They go down, tie the game. I get fouled with like 2-3 seconds left. I missed the first. And I'm sitting there and I'm just kind of in awe, like, what's going on? How come these aren't going in? So, you know, Robbie comes up to me, Eric comes up to me, and, you know, they kind of grab me and they're like, knock it off, put it in. And, you know, it went in, but that was more of a, like, couldn't believe that it wasn't falling moment. And, you know, I guess you could say it kind of rattled me a little bit, and I was so relieved to make that last one.
So what does it feel like as a player in a moment like that? Because so many people don't know what it's like to play in a varsity game and in a big varsity game and have that experience. What is that like to be on the free throw line with 2 seconds and there's a crowd coming down on you? What does that feel like in the moment?
I mean, as a player, you got to kind of block everything out. It's just you, the ball, and the basket. I can tell you one thing, when I'm coaching now and when I'm in the stands, it's a lot more nerve-wracking than when I had the ball in my hands and I was actually the one shooting.
Yeah.
It's a moment that I think kids dream of, and I was very fortunate and blessed that I got to, you know, to have those moments and that people remember them.
I want to go back to that game, the Pitt game against Hope Christian real quick, because one thing you had mentioned, Eric Geyer, and Louis D'Amore gave us a little bit of flack for him being a 16-17 set in the bracket. And I know that Eric was definitely a key player in really putting Xavier Blount in his place. I'm not saying Xavier wasn't a great player, because he is a great player, but Eric came in out of nowhere, right? Because I don't think people were you know, saying Eric Geyer's name all over the state as far as in the 5A division back then, right? It was 5A or 6A? 5A, right? I think so. Yeah. And so when Eric came in and pretty much didn't back down, he had an injured ankle, and yet he played with the big boys and showed that, hey, I just deserve just as much recognition as this person does as being a good inside the paint guy. And you mentioned him too, like his performance was just amazing. Like, how was he during the game? Was he cool, collected, high energy? What was it?
He was always just tough. You know, couldn't get under his skin, and he was going to do whatever it took to help us win, whether he had to rebound, whether he had to score, whether he had to sacrifice his body and, you know, guard the bigger players, and a player of Xavier Blount's caliber. Could tell you one thing, Xavier was a childhood friend of mine, and during the game we're having a little conversation, and Eric looks over to me and he's like, don't talk to him. Like, we're trying to beat him, don't talk to him. I can wait till after the game. That's to show you the type of player. And it wasn't a disrespectful thing, it was just Eric being that competitor and that showing that toughness and leading by that example to, like, you can be friends after the game, but right now we got a job to do.
My experience over here at Santa Fe Community College has been wonderful.
The class sizes are much smaller than a big university.
My classmates were great. The teachers were really supportive.
When you need help with something, they're there to help you.
I had heard in the community about SFCC, and it's just been incredible how affordable it is. People care about why they're here, and it kind of shines through in every aspect of the culture.
We are located at 100 Catron Street, about a block and a half down from our old location. I have a great team. We strive to make sure that people's needs are taken care of, that they're catered to. The success that we have is because of the customer service that we provide for them. We've been recognized as an award-winning office for customer service that we provide to the public. We have implemented a lot of technology to help our constituents and their everyday needs, and help simplify what we do so that the public understands what we provide for them.
The first time I heard of Southwest was just word on the street. As soon as you walked in the door, you know, everybody was very welcoming. That was my main concern about even getting on prep. It would have to have been something that I would have been confident and secure in.
PrEP is pre-exposure prophylaxis, and it is a way of preventing HIV with a single daily pill. When you see somebody go from super overwhelmed to feeling like they can do this, that empowerment that comes from it, that's one of my favorite things.
What are some of the great memories that you have from your last 2 years at St. Mike's? You guys had some. I mean, you guys were in a tremendous district back then: West Las Vegas, Powake, Hope Christian, Sandia Prep. Very tough district, good competition. 2008, you guys losing the semis to West Las Vegas. 2009, though, you make a run and you meet up with Hope again in the championship game. And you were a senior and definitely one of the best players in the state by that time. How did you know? Did you notice how did other teams start to prepare to play you? How was that different as you were becoming more well known throughout the state?
So I think like that 07, 08 team, there was a bunch of different players that could score, that could shoot, that can take the load off of me if I wasn't having a good night. My senior year, I had to be the guy that, scored or created scoring opportunities. So you saw a lot more box and one defenses on me that senior year. It's give it credit to the teammates I had and to Coach Geyer, but he found a way to get other players involved and get me, running off screens, running off, staggers on the baseline, just finding a way to get me the ball, get my teammates the ball. So I think that 09 year, not a lot of coaches could have got to that state championship game with what we had. So I think Coach Geyer, showed you, doesn't matter who he has on his team, his system was, that good that he could win with whoever.
You mentioned coach. You're a coach now. What are some of the things you as a coach you learned from Coach Geyer?
Just everything. Just the way he handles and talks to the kids. I try to implement that. I'm a lot calmer than Coach Geyer. I'm not a yeller. I can't really raise my voice, but obviously I'm running, the system we have now at St. Mike's under Coach Rodriguez, but little things here and there that Coach Geyer taught me along the way. I've taught to my kids certain drills, shooting drills, ball handling drills, defensive drills, just little things like that. But even game management, when to call a timeout. I've played in games with Coach Geyer where we get scored the first play of the game and timeout, and he's yelling at us. So, not as tough like that, but, I've called timeouts minutes into a game just based off of, having that done to me. And, that woke me up as a player. So hopefully it's working with my guys.
Do you take any you come from a basketball family, and your dad was pretty good at St. Mike's as well, right? So he was the girls coach. Do you take anything from your dad, because he did coach you for a lot through your elementary years? Because we do remember you at Gonzales Elementary, and we kind of saw you were a special player from those days. Do you take some advice from your father as well?
Oh yeah, definitely. Call him after every game if he's not there. Talk about the game, talk about how I can improve this for my team, how I can, implement something, how I can get them to, do exactly what I want them to do, for lack of a better way to say it. But he's gone to a few practices of mine. He kind of jumps in, and it's like he's running a practice. We even had a few practices where I give him 1-5 and I'll get the next 5, and we kind of coach against each other. So it's pretty cool to have him around, me, and giving me advice to, succeed as a coach.
Well, he was another coach that a lot of times, he made some runs in the state tournament with some teams that you would never have expected to make those runs, and he got so much out of his players. So, you were mentored by two pretty good coaches in Geyer and your dad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my dad had a couple wins as a 14 seed, I think, and not a lot of coaches get to say that. He'd like to have been a better seed than a 14, but he got the win.
I have a question. So, was there ever a one-on-one with you and Rodney Coles that did you guys ever play, like, off the court, and it was just between you, and who won if you guys did?
Can't say we've played a one-on-one. I've played against him a lot, and I've played with him a lot. I'd say against him, We're pretty even, you know.
Okay.
But with him on my team, I don't think we've lost too many games together.
Really? What about Ryan Gonzalez? Was there any stories there that you have with him from back in the day or currently?
I don't think I've ever played with Ryan on a team, just against him a lot. But in college one year, I was redshirting, and we went and played Highlands. And my coach said, you know, who's this Ryan Gonzalez kid? He's from your neighborhood. And I said, Coach, he's the best shooter I've ever seen. My coach kind of looked at me like, okay. Well, Ryan came out and hit like 8 threes on us.
Whoa.
And I was like, I told you he was the best shooter I've seen. So it's one story that a lot of people don't probably know about Ryan.
Yeah.
That I have.
And that brings up also something else, Jordan. How was it transitioning? You're a big superstar in high school, and then you're going off. You go to Eastern, right? And there's a lot of other superstars there too, right? That are playing there. How was that transition? Was it tough for you? Were you right away? Because you weren't right. You redshirted the first year, so you weren't the big guy that was on the team anymore. Now you had to work your way back up again. How was that for you?
So I actually redshirted my junior year. So I played my first 2 redshirt my junior, and then played 2 after that. But getting there, it was just a lot more physical, fast, more athletic. I think the reason I was able to play and have a little success in college was it's my IQ, the way I can see the floor. And, you know, I'm not the quickest, I'm not the fastest, I'm not most athletic, but I can, you know, kind of outsmart you in a sense. But like I got to Eastern, we were playing open gym. I'm on a scholarship. There's guys getting picked to play pickup games that aren't. I'm not even getting picked. So I'm like, this is all new to me. So then a couple, you know, days into it, I finally get a chance, and I had a good day, and, you know, earned their respect a little bit. And then, you know, finally they kind of realized, all right, this guy can play a little bit. But off the first day, they just off my looks and how I walked into the gym, I guess they didn't think too much of me, so I had to earn their respect.
Who were a couple of the better players that you played against in college?
Well, I was very fortunate. I got to play against, you know, a good Lobo team that made it to, you know, the NCAA tournament. I played Alex Kirk in high school, but he was on that team. Cameron Bairstow, Tony Snell, Kendall Williams, all those guys. See, in Division II, there's a couple guys that, you know, were just head and shoulders above the rest, I would say. One was a guy named Derek Williams. He actually was a San Antonio Spur G League player that I got to play against. And then, you know, multiple guys that are playing overseas now, and even some of my teammates. So I got to play against a lot of great competition.
Right on.
I know that you know, when you get to college, what was your motivation to keep, you know, to continue playing? Was it the love for the game? Was it something you're the type of person that once you start something, you don't want to quit? Because you see a lot of student athletes where they have this vision of what being a college athlete's all about, right? And they have the signing day for high school, and then they go off to play at college, and they realize that there's a lot of dog days in between these glory days, and very few in between as they would have gotten in high school. What was it that kept you going?
It was just, you know, like you said, the love of the game. There were definitely days early on where, you know, I'd call my mom, I'd call my dad, and I'd be like, I don't think I can do this anymore. It's a full-time job.
Yeah.
You know, and my mom had told me, you know, you're not a quitter. Stick it out. And so, you know, I listened to her, I stuck it out, and, you know, I ended up getting my school entirely paid for. I have a degree, and without basketball and that scholarship opportunity, you know, who knows what happens? Who knows if I finish school?
I'm going to speak for my brother. He had said something at the end of the podcast that kind of held with me about you, and I think my cousin too. We were talking about that. You know, you were an amazing basketball player in high school, and you yet were not much of a trash talker, or you weren't a flashy type of guy. You just got out on the court and did your job. And, you know, if you were a football player, you would have scored. handed the ball to the referee and went back to the huddle. That's the type of player that you were. Where did you get that from? Who kind of, was that something that came naturally, or was that something that your father kind of said, or was that something that Geyer kind of instilled in you?
Well, it started with, my dad and, my mom. But, definitely Geyer. If you trash talk, you get a technical, you show off a little bit, it don't matter if you're LeBron James out there, you're coming out the game. And, it's never about embarrassing your opponent. You don't ever want that. And, I've always wanted to let my game do the talking, and instead of me having to be one of those guys that talks the talk, but, can he back it up? And, I just wanted to show what I could do with my skill set and not my mouth.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Great.
Jordan, thank you so much for joining us, man. It's been really great to talk to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it again for having me and for everything you guys have said about me. It means a lot.
Thanks, brother.
Right on, Jordan.
Thank you.